The FedEx envelope arrived on a Tuesday, 2 weeks after I'd given birth. 2 weeks of sleepless nights, cracked nipples, the kind of exhaustion that makes your bones ache. My daughter Maya was finally sleeping. Actual sleep, not the 20-minute naps that passed for rest. I was wearing the same nursing tank top I'd been in for 3 days, hair unwashed, still bleeding, body still trying to remember what it was before it became a mother. The doorbell rang. I answered with Maya's burp cloth still on my shoulder. The FedEx driver handed me the envelope. It was heavy, that particular weight of important papers, bad news dressed in cardstock and legal formatting. I signed for it with hands that shook from exhaustion, or maybe premonition. The envelope was thick, legal-sized, from a law firm I didn't recognize, Thornton and Associates, Palm Beach. The paper felt cold against my fingers despite the Miami heat. I carried it to the kitchen, set it on the counter next to my cold coffee, the breakfast dishes I hadn't washed, the bottles waiting to be sterilized. Morning light came through the window, making everything look too bright, too normal for what was about to happen. Maya in her bassinet, making those small sounds that meant she'd wake soon. My breasts were full, leaking through the nursing pads. My body was still bleeding, still cramping, still recovering from the trauma of pushing a human into the world. This is important. I want you to understand my physical state when I opened that envelope, because it matters. Because whoever sent this knew exactly how vulnerable I was. I opened it standing at the counter. The first page said, "Notice of Partnership Dissolution." My business partner's name at the bottom, Lauren Chen, my best friend since college, the woman who threw my baby shower 3 months ago, who held my hand through 5 years of infertility treatment, who promised she'd keep everything running while I took care of my baby. Something in me didn't break, it froze. Hello, dear listeners. Thank you for joining me today. Before we begin, I want to ask, if this story speaks to you, if you've ever built something with someone you trusted, only to watch them try to take it away, please subscribe, leave a like, and share your experience in the comments. Your stories matter. Your voices matter. This is a story about partnership and betrayal, about building something with your bare hands and watching someone try to steal it while you're at your most vulnerable. About the moment you realize that some people see your joy as their opportunity. Before I tell you how it ended, let me tell you how it began. I met Lauren Chen at the University of Miami in 2001. I was 19, sophomore year, journalism major with a minor in marketing. She was the same age, communications major from San Francisco, Chinese American, first-generation college student like me. We met in a PR strategies class. Professor assigned partners for a semester-long campaign project. Random selection. Lauren ended up next to me, already pulling out color-coded notebooks and 3 different highlighters. "I'm Lauren," she said, extending her hand like we were at a business meeting, not a Tuesday morning class. "I should warn you, I'm intense about group projects. If you're looking for an easy A with minimal work, request a different partner now." I liked her immediately. "Keisha Martinez," I said, shaking her hand, "and I'm more intense than you are, so buckle up." She grinned. "This is going to be fun." She was right. That semester project got an A+. More than that, it got noticed. We created a mock campaign for a local nonprofit, raising awareness about literacy in Miami-Dade's underserved communities. Our professor submitted it to a regional competition. We won. The nonprofit actually used our campaign. We were 22 years old, and we'd already built something real. Lauren and I became inseparable after that. Not just classmates, friends, the kind who study together, eat together, eventually live together senior year in a tiny apartment off Brickell Avenue. I remember the night we signed the lease. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, questionable plumbing, but it was ours. We bought cheap wine from Publix, sat on the balcony, barely big enough for 2 folding chairs, and made promises. "We're going to build something together," Lauren said, already tipsy from half a glass. "Something real, something that matters." "Like what?" "I don't know yet, but I know it'll be with you." We clinked our plastic cups. Below us, Miami hummed. Traffic, music from someone's party, the particular energy of a city that never quite sleeps. "Partners," I said. "Partners," she echoed. "Always." I believed her. God, I believed every word. We balanced each other. I was the relationship builder, the one who could walk into a room and make everyone feel seen. Lauren was the strategist, the one who saw 3 moves ahead, who turned ideas into spreadsheets into action. "We should start a company," Lauren said one night senior year. We were on that same balcony, Miami humidity making the air feel thick, final exams behind us, real world looming. "After graduation, just us. We're good at this." "We're 21, I said. "We don't know anything." "We know enough, and we'll learn the rest." I thought she was dreaming, ambitious in that way college seniors are when the real world still feels theoretical. But Lauren didn't dream. Lauren planned. We graduated in May 2005. By June, we'd incorporated Martinez Chen Communications, rented a tiny office in Coconut Grove that was really just a room with 2 desks and a window that looked out on a parking lot. The space smelled like old carpet and the previous tenant's cigarettes. We bought air fresheners at CVS, hung motivational posters we'd printed at Kinko's, pretended we were real business people. Our conference table was a folding table from Target. Our filing system was a plastic bin from Home Depot. Our office equipment was our personal laptops and a printer we split the cost on. But we had business cards, professional ones, heavy cardstock, our names in clean font. Keisha Martinez, co-founder. Lauren Chen, co-founder. Holding those cards felt like holding proof we existed. We had 3 clients that first year, all nonprofits we'd volunteered with during college. They paid us almost nothing, sometimes in installments, sometimes late, but they gave us portfolio pieces, references, proof of concept. I remember our first real paycheck, $2,000 from the literacy nonprofit for a 3-month campaign. We had to split it, so $1,000 each. Lauren and I went to dinner to celebrate. Cuban place in Little Havana. Nothing fancy, but we ordered mojitos and tostones and felt like moguls. "We did it," Lauren said, raising her glass. "We're actually business owners." "We're broke business owners," I corrected. "But business owners." We clinked glasses. The mojitos were too sweet, but we didn't care. We were 23 and building something from nothing, and that felt like everything. My parents thought I was crazy. "Mija," my father said in Spanish. "You went to college to get a good job, not to struggle like we did." My parents immigrated from Puerto Rico in the 80s. Dad worked construction, Mom cleaned houses. Both of them breaking their bodies so I could go to college, get a degree, work in air conditioning, wear nice clothes. And here I was, 22 years old, making less than minimum wage, working 16-hour days in an office that didn't have AC. I am getting a good job, I told him. I'm creating it. He didn't understand, but he trusted me. That's what parents do when they raise you right. They trust that their sacrifices taught you something. Lauren's parents were different. Her mother was a physician, her father an engineer. High achievers who expected the same from their daughter. They saw entrepreneurship as acceptable only if it led to wealth. Lauren felt that pressure like a weight. I need to prove this works, she told me late one night in year 2. We were at the office at midnight, preparing a pitch for our first major client, a tech startup looking to launch in South Florida. If we don't land this, my parents will never stop asking when I'm getting a real job. Then we land it, I said. We landed it. That client led to 3 more. Those 3 led to 10. By year 5, we had an actual office, real space in Brickell, with a conference room and employees. By year 8, we were one of the top boutique PR firms in Miami. By year 10, we were repping Fortune 500 companies alongside local startups. Martinez Chen Communications. Our names on the door. Our partnership agreement? 50-50 ownership. All major decisions made together. Equal pay, equal responsibility. We were sisters. Not blood. Something deeper. Work wives, people called us. The kind of partnership where you finish each other's sentences in client meetings, where you know what the other is thinking from one look across the conference table. My personal life was simpler. I dated, nothing serious until I hit 30 and met Marcus at a friend's wedding. Marcus was a physical therapist, calm where I was intense, patient where I was driven. We dated for 3 years, got married at 33. Small wedding, just family and close friends. Lauren was my maid of honor. You found a good one, she said at the reception, watching Marcus dance with my mother. He gets you. He does, I agreed. You'll find yours too. She shrugged. I've got the business. That's enough for now. Lauren dated occasionally, but nothing stuck. She worked most weekends, checked emails at midnight, built her identity around the company in a way that sometimes worried me. But who was I to judge? I did the same until Marcus made me promise to take Sundays off. The business was our child, the thing we fed and nurtured and lost sleep over. Watching it grow felt like watching something miraculous, something we'd made from nothing. Then came the years I tried to make an actual child. Marcus and I started trying when I was 35. A year passed. Nothing. Another year. Still nothing. At 37, my OBGYN referred me to a fertility specialist. Your egg reserve is low, the doctor said, showing me numbers on a chart that felt like a judgment. Not impossible, but we should start treatment soon. IVF. 3 rounds, each one costing tens of thousands of dollars. Each one ending with my period arriving and me crying in the bathroom at the office, trying to pull myself together before a client meeting. Lauren knew. She was the only person outside Marcus who knew how hard I was trying. Take time off, she said after my second failed round. I can handle things here. I need to work, I told her. If I sit at home, all I do is think about it. She understood. Or I thought she did. She drove me to appointments when Marcus couldn't, sat with me in waiting rooms that smelled like antiseptic and dashed hopes, held my hand when the doctor gave bad news, again and again and again. "It'll happen," she'd say. "You're the strongest person I know. It'll happen." I believed her. Not just about the baby, about everything. About our friendship being unbreakable. About us being family. Year after year. Needles, hormones, hope, disappointment. My body became a battlefield. Bruises on my stomach from injections, mood swings from hormones. The particular grief of wanting something so badly your body aches with it. My late 30s slipped into my 40s. At 41, I told Marcus we should stop. "One more try," he said. "Please, just one more." That one more try worked. I found out on a Wednesday in April, took the test at home before work, hands shaking, not believing the 2 lines could actually mean what they meant after years of single lines. Called Marcus. We both cried. Then I called Lauren. "I'm pregnant," I said, the words still feeling impossible. "It worked! I'm actually pregnant!" She screamed. Actually screamed loud enough that people in our office turned to look. "Oh my God! Keisha! Oh my God! We need to celebrate. Tonight, dinner, my treat. This is amazing!" I cried again. Happy tears this time. Relief tears. Years of waiting filing over tears. Lauren came around her desk, pulled me into a hug that felt like safety, like family, like someone who'd been in the trenches with me and was genuinely, purely happy for my victory. "You deserve this," she whispered. "You deserve everything." I believed her then, believed she meant it. Maybe she did mean it in that moment. Maybe the betrayal came later. Or maybe I just need to believe that once she actually loved me. We went to her favorite restaurant in Wynwood, ordered everything, talked about nursery colors and names and how weird it was going to be having a baby after building a business for 12 years. "You're going to be the best mom," Lauren said, raising her wine glass. I had sparkling water. "And don't worry about the company. I've got it covered while you're out. Take all the time you need." "I'm thinking 3 months," I said. "Maybe 4. We can hire a temp coordinator and I'll check in remotely." "Don't even think about it. You focus on that baby. Martinez Chen isn't going anywhere." I believed her. God, I believed her. The pregnancy was hard. Morning sickness that lasted all day. Fatigue that made me sleep 12 hours and still wake up exhausted. At 5 months, my doctor put me on bed rest after some bleeding. Nothing serious, but enough to scare me. Lauren stepped up, took over my client meetings, my pitches, my everything. "You rest," she said. "I've got this." She threw me a baby shower in my 7th month, rented a beautiful space in South Beach, windows overlooking the ocean, white linens, fresh flowers everywhere, invited everyone we knew, clients, colleagues, family. My mother came from Orlando. Marcus's parents flew in from Atlanta. Our biggest clients sent representatives. Lauren decorated it herself, yellow and gray. I was keeping the sex a surprise, but secretly I knew it was a girl. Balloons, banners, a cake shaped like a stork, games that made everyone laugh, gifts piled high on a table by the window. I remember watching her work that day, adjusting centerpieces, directing caterers, making sure everyone had drinks. She wore a yellow dress that matched the decorations, looked beautiful, happy, in her element. "This is perfect," I told her. "I can't believe you did all this." "Of course I did. You're my person." Your person. That's what we called each other. Work wives, best friends, sisters from different mothers. Your person. Lauren gave a speech that made everyone cry. Keisha isn't just my business partner, she said, voice steady, clear, carrying to every corner of the room. She's my sister, my best friend, the person I trust more than anyone in the world. Watching her become a mother, there's nothing I want more for her. Keisha, you deserve this. You've worked so hard. You've sacrificed so much. Now you get to have it all. The business, the baby, everything. Everyone clapped. I cried, pregnancy hormones making everything feel larger, more intense, but also real emotion, gratitude, love, the feeling of being celebrated by someone who knew all your struggles and chose to honor them. Lauren hugged me after, whispered in my ear, I meant every word. You're going to have it all. I believed her. I believed every word. Later, I would find the email she sent her business consultant 2 days after the shower. Event went well, maintained appearance of support, documenting all client interactions in Keisha's absence, building case for essential partner status. But I didn't know that then. Then, I just felt loved. 2 months later, Maya was born, September 3rd, 22 hours of labor. Marcus holding my hand through all of it. When they finally placed her on my chest, tiny, perfect, screaming, I understood why people said nothing else mattered. She was everything. Lauren sent flowers to the hospital. Big arrangement, yellow roses, card that said, Welcome to the world, Maya. Your mom is a warrior. Love, Aunt Lauren. Aunt Lauren. That's what Reed decided she'd be. The first 2 weeks home were a blur. No sleep, constant feeding, body recovering from trauma. Marcus took time off work, but his leave ended after week 1. My mother came for week 2, but she had her own health issues, couldn't stay longer. The exhaustion was different than anything I'd known. Not tired from work, from late nights finishing pitches, from stress. This was cellular, bone deep. The kind where you'd close your eyes for what felt like seconds and wake up 3 hours later to crying, your breasts rock hard and leaking, your body screaming for rest it wouldn't get. My nipples cracked and bled. Every feeding was agony for the first 5 days. The lactation consultant said it would get better. She was right, eventually. But those first weeks felt like torture disguised as bonding. I bled for 2 weeks straight. Heavy bleeding, then lighter, then spotting. Wore those mesh hospital underwear and giant pads that felt like diapers. Couldn't sit comfortably. Couldn't laugh without pain. Couldn't imagine ever feeling normal again. My body didn't feel like mine. It was a milk machine, a healing wound, a thing that existed to keep Maya alive while barely keeping me alive. And through it all, Maya, tiny, dependent, needing me every 2 hours, sometimes every hour, sometimes constantly, cluster feeding through the night while I cried from exhaustion and hormones and the overwhelming reality of being someone's entire world. Marcus helped when he could, but he had to go back to work, had to pay bills, had to be the stable one while I fell apart in ways I didn't know people could fall apart. By the beginning of week 3, it was just me and Maya. That's when the FedEx envelope arrived, Tuesday morning, September 24th. I was wearing spit up. My body hurt. Maya was crying that particular cry that meant hungry, but also tired, but also uncomfortable, but also just new to the world crying. The doorbell rang. I answered, still trying to calm Maya. Took the envelope from the FedEx guy without really looking at it. Got Maya settled, fed her, finally got her to sleep. That precious hour or two where maybe I could also sleep. But the envelope sat on the kitchen counter. Something about it felt wrong. I opened it. Notice of partnership dissolution. Petition to remove partner due to abandonment of duties. Emergency buyout offer. Lauren's signature at the bottom. Her lawyer's name at the top. I read it 3 times before my brain accepted what my eyes were seeing. Lauren was removing me from the company, claiming I'd abandoned my responsibilities by taking maternity leave, citing a clause in our partnership agreement about extended absence without proper notification, offering to buy my half of the company for $150,000, a fraction of its actual value. We'd been valued at over $2 million 18 months ago. I called her, hands shaking so hard I could barely dial. Straight to voicemail. Called the office. Receptionist said Lauren was unavailable. Called again. Again. Finally, she picked up. Keisha, hi. I was going to call you this week. What is this? My voice didn't sound like my voice. What the fuck is this, Lauren? I know it's shocking, but you have to understand. Understand what? That you're trying to steal my company while I'm home with a 2-week-old baby? It's not stealing. It's business. You left. You've been gone for months. First the bed rest, now this. The company can't function with an absentee partner. I'm on maternity leave. I told you I'd be back in 3 months. 3 months is too long. We're losing clients. They want to work with someone who's present, not someone checking in remotely between diaper changes. The coldness in her voice, like I was a stranger, like 12 years meant nothing. Lauren, I built this company with you. Half of everything we have. I brought in those clients. I created those relationships. And I've been maintaining them while you've been gone. That counts for something. I had a baby. You threw me a baby shower. You said... My voice broke. You said I could have it all. I was wrong. You can't. Nobody can. You made a choice, Keisha. You chose motherhood. That's fine. But you can't choose motherhood and expect to keep your position in a business this competitive. Something in me didn't break. It froze. Let me tell you what I didn't know then, what I would find out later. Lauren had been planning this for 6 months, before I even got pregnant, before she threw my baby shower, before she told me to take all the time I needed. She'd been meeting with a business consultant, someone who specialized in partnership optimization. That's what his invoice said later, when my lawyer subpoenaed her files. Partnership optimization. Like I was a problem to be solved, a variable to eliminate. The timeline, reconstructed from emails and bank statements and testimony. March. Lauren meets with consultant, discusses concerns about partner commitment. I was 5 months pregnant, working from home because of bed rest. April. Consultant advises that maternity leave creates natural opportunity for restructuring. May. Lauren meets with a lawyer. Not our company lawyer, a new one. Discusses options for buyout. June. Lauren begins rebranding discussions. Suggests dropping Martinez from the company name in client meetings. Streamlining, she calls it. July. My baby shower. Lauren's speech about sisterhood and trust. August. Lauren files preliminary dissolution papers. Doesn't tell me. Waits for me to give birth. September. Maya is born. 2 weeks later, I get the notice. Strategic, calculated, perfectly timed. She waited until I was at my most vulnerable. New mother, sleep-deprived, isolated, body still healing. She knew I'd be too overwhelmed to fight, too exhausted to think clearly, too focused on keeping a tiny human alive to navigate corporate law. She was wrong about that last part. But let me tell you about Lauren, the real Lauren. Not the friend I thought I knew, but the person she actually was. Lauren Chen grew up in San Francisco, in a family that measured worth in achievements. Her older brother was a surgeon. Her sister was a lawyer. Lauren was the youngest, always trying to prove she was just as successful, just as worthy. She told me once, junior year of college, that her mother had said, "Business is fine, but it's not a real profession, not like medicine or law." That comment lived in Lauren like a wound. Everything she did after was trying to prove her mother wrong. Every client we landed, every award we won. She'd call her mother, wait for praise that never quite came. She said, "That's nice," Lauren told me after we won South Florida's Best Small Business Award in 2015. Not, "I'm proud of you," just, "That's nice." I felt sorry for her then. Understood her drive came from a place of pain. Now I understand it differently. People who build their identity on external validation are dangerous when that validation stops coming. They'll do anything to get it back, including betray the person standing next to them. Lauren had dated someone seriously once. Michael, investment banker, made good money, checked all the boxes her parents would approve of. Year 9 of our business. They dated for 18 months, got engaged. Then he broke it off, told her she was married to her work, that he needed a partner who could be present, who didn't check emails during dinner, didn't cancel dates for client meetings. Lauren was devastated. Not heartbroken. I'm not sure she loved Michael, but devastated that she'd failed at something, that someone had chosen to leave her. "I'm not cut out for relationships," she said after the breakup. "I'm better at business." She threw herself into work after that, worked later hours, took on more clients, built walls between herself and anything that wasn't the company. I worried about her, tried to set her up with people, invited her to dinners with Marcus and me so she wouldn't be alone. She smiled and said she was fine, happy even. The business was enough. But I see now, it wasn't enough. It was everything. Her entire identity, her proof of worth, her answer to her mother's doubts. And when I got pregnant, when I chose to have a family alongside the business, when I proved you could actually have both, that threatened her entire worldview. If I could be a mother and a business owner, what was her excuse for having no life outside work? If I could balance both, what did that say about her choice to balance nothing? I didn't understand this then. Couldn't have. You don't think your best friend resents you for having a baby. But resentment is rarely about the surface thing. It's about what that thing represents. My pregnancy represented possibility I'd chosen and she'd rejected. My family represented vulnerability she'd armored against. My joy represented something she'd convinced herself was impossible. And people who convince themselves something is impossible can't tolerate watching others prove them wrong. So she decided I had to go. Not immediately, not overtly, but systematically, carefully, using my own biology against me. The baby shower wasn't celebration. It was theater. Performance for the audience. Look how supportive I am, how happy for my partner. But in her mind, she was already gone, already planning, already seeing me not as her sister, but as dead weight she needed to cut. I know this now. Know it from the emails her lawyer had to turn over. Know it from the consultant's notes. Know it from the testimony she gave in mediation, where she said, under oath, the business was better off without her. She wasn't committed anymore. She made her choice. As if motherhood and commitment couldn't coexist. As if 12 years meant nothing next to 12 weeks. As if our friendship was conditional on my perpetual availability. That's who Lauren Chen was. Who she always was, maybe, underneath the sisterhood and the speeches and the shared dreams. Someone who saw people as useful until they weren't. And I'd stopped being useful the moment I became a mother. The first 3 days after receiving that FedEx envelope, I couldn't function. Maya needed me every 2 hours. Feed, change, comfort, repeat. My body was still healing. My mind was a fog of hormones and exhaustion and shock. Every time I tried to read the legal documents, I'd get through 2 paragraphs before Maya cried. Or before I started crying. Or before the words blurred together into meaninglessness. Marcus came home from work to find me sitting on the nursery floor, Maya in my arms, surrounded by papers. "Baby, what is this?" He picked up one of the documents. "Lauren's trying to take the company." He read. I watched his face change. Confusion, to anger, to disbelief. "She can't do this. This is illegal." "I don't know if it is. Marcus, I can't think. I can't focus. Every time I try to understand what's happening, I feel like I'm drowning." He sat down next to me on the floor, took Maya, held her so I could use both hands to wipe my face. "Okay, first thing, we get a lawyer. Corporate lawyer. Someone who handles partnership disputes. You can't fight this alone." "I don't even know where to start." "I'll start. You take care of yourself and Maya. Let me handle the logistics." I wanted to argue, wanted to say I could handle it myself. But I couldn't. My body was keeping a human alive. My brain had maybe 10% capacity for anything beyond that. Marcus made calls, found a lawyer, Simone Washington, 48, Black woman who'd built a reputation as Miami's fiercest business litigator. Former corporate attorney turned solo practitioner who specialized in partnership disputes. Her initial consultation fee was $500. We paid it. The consultation was a Zoom call. I couldn't leave Maya, couldn't drive to an office, could barely sit upright for the 90 minutes we talked. I'll never forget the moment Simone's face appeared on screen. She wore a cream blazer, natural hair in locks pulled back, minimal jewelry, no-nonsense expression. Behind her, I could see bookshelves lined with law volumes, framed degrees from Harvard Law, photos of her with what looked like grateful clients. But it was her eyes that got me. Sharp, assessing, kind but not soft. The eyes of someone who'd fought battles and won them. "Keisha," she said, "tell me what happened." I started crying. Hadn't planned to. But something about being seen by another Black woman, another professional, someone who would understand, it broke something loose. "I'm sorry," I managed. "I'm such a mess. I just had a baby and my business partner—" "Don't apologize. You're not a mess. You're a new mother dealing with betrayal. That's not weakness. That's someone handling 2 impossible things at once." I wiped my face. Maya was in a bouncer next to me, watching mobile figures spin above her head. Now, Simone continued, tell me everything, and I mean everything. I can't help you if I don't know what we're fighting. So I told her the whole story, the FedEx envelope, the partnership dissolution, Lauren's timing. Simone looked at the documents Lauren had sent, read them with the same expression I imagine bomb technicians have when examining suspicious packages. Careful, clinical, slightly alarmed. This is ambitious, she finally said. The legal theory she's using is creative. Wrong, but creative. Can she do this? I asked. She's trying to. Whether she can succeed depends on your partnership agreement and whether she can prove you actually abandoned your duties. But Keisha, I'm going to be straight with you. This was premeditated. The timing, the language, the low-ball buyout offer. She planned this. I know. Do you have copies of everything? Emails, contracts, financial records, anything showing your contribution to the business? I have access to our shared drive. I don't know if she's deleted anything. Get everything now. Download it all. If she's smart, and it seems like she is, she'll start erasing evidence the minute she knows you've lawyered up. That night, while Marcus watched Maya, I logged into our company's systems. My hands were shaking as I typed the password. Part of me didn't want to look, didn't want to confirm what I suspected, wanted to believe there was some explanation, some misunderstanding. But I looked anyway. Everything was still there. Either Lauren hadn't thought to cut my access, or she didn't think I'd have the energy to check. New mother, sleep-deprived, overwhelmed. She underestimated me. I started with emails, sorted by sender, Lauren Chen, filtered by date range, the last 6 months. The first hour, nothing unusual. Client communications, internal memos, normal business. Then I found a folder I didn't recognize. LC Operated Clut. Parsing again. Hidden in her directory, not shared. I shouldn't have been able to see it, but I was still listed as company admin, still had root access to everything. I opened it. Found an email from Lauren to someone named Richard Thornton, dated March 15th. Subject line, succession planning. My stomach dropped before I even read it. Richard, thank you for the consultation last week. After our discussion, I'm moving forward with the partnership restructuring we discussed. Keisha's pregnancy is further along than ideal, but this still works in our favor. She'll be gone minimum 3 months, possibly longer if there are complications. Clients are already expressing concerns about continuity. I've been documenting every meeting I handle solo. As you advised, this builds the case that I'm the essential partner, the one who keeps things running when she's unavailable. She's due in September. I'm planning to file dissolution papers in early September, right after the birth, when she'll be most overwhelmed. Timing is crucial. We want her too exhausted to mount an effective defense. Let me know when you're available to review the partnership agreement. Need to identify the best legal leverage. Best, Lauren. I read it 3 times. Read it until the words stopped making sense individually and became just a mass of betrayal. She'd written this in March. Maya was born in September. Lauren had been planning to destroy me for 6 months, while I was pregnant, while I was scared and hopeful and trusting her with everything. I threw up, barely made it to the bathroom, vomited until there was nothing left, then dry heaved until my ribs hurt. Sat on the cold tile floor, shaking, Maya's crying drifting from the nursery down the hall. Marcus appeared in the doorway, concerned. Baby, what happened? Lauren, I managed. She planned this, months ago, before Maya was even born. He read the email on my laptop screen. I watched his face change, confusion to comprehension to rage. That fucking... He stopped, took a breath, helped me up from the floor. Okay, first, you need to save everything. Download all of it. If she realizes you've seen this, she'll delete it. I know, I need a minute. You can have a minute after we secure the evidence. Keisha, this is proof. This is her admitting she planned to betray you while you were vulnerable. We need it. He was right. I went back to the computer, started downloading systematically. Emails, documents, spreadsheets, everything in that LC-clusive folder. Found more. Found an email from April, subject line, baby shower. Richard, hosting the shower this weekend. I know it seems counterintuitive given our plans, but it's important to maintain the appearance of support. Everyone expects me to celebrate her pregnancy. If I don't, it raises questions when I file for dissolution later. Think of it as insurance. If she tries to claim I was planning this in advance, I can point to the baby shower as evidence I was fully supportive. Who throws a baby shower for someone they're planning to betray? The optics matter. Lauren. The baby shower. The beautiful venue in South Beach. The yellow and gray decorations. The speech about sisterhood that made everyone cry. All of it calculated, performed, insurance against future accusations. I kept downloading, kept finding evidence of months of planning. Spreadsheets titled Post-Keisha Projections. Budgets that excluded my salary. Communications with a potential new partner. Someone younger, someone without kids, someone fully committed. Then I checked our company website. Opened it on my phone, still sitting on the bathroom floor at 4 a.m. Maya sleeping in the bassinet in the next room. Martinez Chen Communications. Except it wasn't. The header said, Chen Communications. My name was gone. I refreshed the page. Thought it was a mistake, a glitch, something technical. No mistake. The About Us page listed one founder, Lauren Chen. My photo was deleted. My bio, 12 years of work, clients I'd brought in, campaigns I'd built, erased like I'd never existed. The team page showed Lauren and our 4 employees. I wasn't listed. The contact page had Lauren's email, not mine. I sat there holding my phone, staring at this website for a company I'd built from nothing. And my name was gone. Like I was already dead. Like I'd already lost. She'd done this while I was pregnant, while I was on bed rest, terrified of losing Maya, trusting Lauren to keep things running. She'd been erasing me, systematically, methodically. Preparing the narrative. Keisha left. Keisha retired. Keisha was never really that important anyway. I felt it then, the full weight of the betrayal. Not just the legal documents, not just the planned theft, but this, being erased from my own story. By the time I finished, I had 4 hours of documentation, gigabytes of proof that Lauren Chen had spent half a year preparing to steal my company while I grew my daughter. The sun was coming up when I closed the laptop. Maya needed feeding. My breasts were full, leaking through my shirt. My body was still bleeding, still healing from pushing a human being into the world. And my best friend of 23 years had tried to destroy me because I'd chosen to be a mother. I went to Maya, picked her up from her bassinet, her small sounds of hunger, her tiny hands grasping, fed her while tears ran down my face onto her downy head. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry. You're 2 weeks old and your mom is already in a war. But she just looked at me, those brand new eyes, trusting completely. And I thought, she can't know it yet, but she will. She'll know her mother fought. She'll know that when someone tries to destroy you for being a mother, you show them exactly what mothers are capable of. We've already done the impossible. We've created life. Everything else is just logistics. I'd been thinking about this wrong, thinking about it as Lauren versus me, partnership versus motherhood, business versus baby. But that wasn't it. This was about someone trying to punish me for having something she didn't, trying to make me choose what she'd chosen, business over everything, or lose it all. And I wasn't going to let her. Not for me, for Maya. Because I'd be damned if my daughter grew up watching her mother get destroyed by someone who'd waited for her to be born to make their move. I called Simone the next morning. "I have everything," I said. "Every email, every file, every piece of evidence showing she planned this while I was pregnant." "Good. How do you want to proceed?" "I want to fight, whatever it takes." "It's going to be expensive, brutal. She's going to make this personal." "She already made it personal when she waited for me to give birth." "All right, let's burn her down." The freeze didn't happen all at once. It happened in layers, like ice forming on a lake, surface first, then deeper, then all the way through. First layer, reading that email about using my pregnancy as leverage. The words clinical, cold, strategic. My best friend talking about my most vulnerable time like it was a business opportunity. Second layer, the baby shower email. Maintain appearance of support. Every hug, every gift, every moment I thought was real, all of it performance. Theater for an audience that didn't know they were watching a lie. Third layer, realizing she'd waited, deliberately waited until I'd given birth, until I was bleeding and exhausted and trying to keep a tiny human alive, until fighting back would be hardest. Fourth layer, understanding this wasn't impulsive, this was premeditated, calculated. She'd looked at my pregnancy, my joy, my miracle after years of trying, and seen opportunity. The freeze spread through me like frost across glass, started in my chest, moved outward. I could feel it in my fingertips, my toes, the back of my neck. Not numbness, clarity. Sharp, crystalline clarity. You know how ice forms? How water molecules slow down, arrange themselves into rigid structures, become something harder than what they were? That's what happened to me. 23 years of warmth crystallizing into something else, something that could cut, something that could endure, something that wouldn't melt under pressure or heat or tears. The sound in my ears changed, like when your ears pop on a plane, but internal. A kind of silence that's actually the loudest sound you've ever heard. The sound of a door closing, a lock turning, a decision becoming permanent. That's when something in me didn't break. It froze. You know that feeling when you touch something so cold it burns? When the nerve endings can't process temperature anymore and just scream? That's what happened to 23 years of friendship. I was sitting in the nursery at 3 a.m., Maya latched to my breast, when I felt it complete. The room was dark except for the nightlight, soft yellow, same color as the baby shower decorations Lauren had chosen. The AC hummed. Outside, a car alarm went off somewhere, then stopped. Miami never fully sleeps, just pauses between heartbeats. My body was doing impossible things, making milk from nothing, healing tissue that shouldn't heal, running on reserves that didn't exist. I was 2 weeks postpartum, still wearing the mesh underwear from the hospital, still bleeding, still aching. And in that exhausted, broken state, I felt clarity sharper than I'd ever felt. Lauren thought this made me weak, thought biology was a handicap, thought motherhood meant vulnerability. She was about to learn differently. Because women who've given birth, we're the opposite of weak. We've already survived the unsurvivable. We've pushed humans out of openings that shouldn't accommodate them. We've bled for weeks and kept going. We've functioned on 2 hours of sleep. We've healed from internal wounds while simultaneously keeping another person alive. You think that makes us vulnerable? That makes us unstoppable. The freeze was complete now. I could feel it, like armor made of ice, like a shield made of cold clarity. Every memory with Lauren crystallized. Every late night at the office, every celebration, every moment I'd trusted her, all of it frozen solid into something I could use. Not pain anymore. Evidence. Not heartbreak anymore. Motivation. Not friendship anymore. War. Something in me didn't break. It froze, like water expanding as it crystallizes, powerful enough to crack stone. Like a woman understanding that motherhood isn't weakness, it's proof you can survive anything. Like a Black woman in business, remembering we've always had to be twice as good, and pregnancy doesn't erase that muscle memory. Maya finished feeding. I held her against my shoulder, felt her small burps, her complete dependence on me. "Your mommy's going to war," I whispered to her sleeping form. Not because she wants to, because someone thought she wouldn't. Someone thought having you made me weak. Maya made a small sound, milk-drunk, content. "They're wrong," I continued. "You didn't make me weak, baby girl. You made me someone who's already done the hardest thing in the world. Everything after this? That's easy." The freeze stayed, protective, clear, cold. It would stay through the lawsuit, through the depositions, through the months of combat. It would stay until I won. Because Lauren was right about one thing. I was different after having Maya. Just not the way she thought. Simone Washington didn't believe in half measures. "We have 2 options," she said in our second meeting. Maya was 4 weeks old now, slightly less of a screaming potato, slightly more of an actual person. "Option 1, we negotiate. Try to work out a settlement. You sell your half for fair value, walk away, start over." Option 2, we go nuclear. We sue for breach of fiduciary duty, fraud, theft, and emotional distress. We make this so expensive and public that even if she wins, she loses. What are the risks? Time, money, stress. This will take months, maybe over a year. It will cost 6 figures in legal fees. It will be exhausting and brutal, and she will fight dirty. And if we win? You get your company back. She pays your legal fees. You prove that you can't steal someone's business because they had a baby. You set a precedent. I looked at Maya in my arms, looked at Marcus next to me, looked at Simone across the table, waiting. "Option 2, I said. "Nuclear." Simone smiled. "Good. Let's talk strategy." The strategy was simple in concept, complex in execution. Build an airtight case showing that Lauren had violated every fiduciary duty a partner owes. Prove she'd planned the theft. Prove my contributions to the company were essential. Prove the partnership agreement protected maternity leave. Simone assigned me homework. Document everything. Every client I'd brought in. Every relationship I'd built. Every piece of business I'd generated. Every instance of Lauren acknowledging my value. "You said you have emails," Simone said. "I need you to find specific ones. Lauren praising your work. Lauren admitting the business depends on your relationships. Lauren encouraging you to take time off. All of it. That's going to take hours. Then take hours. I know you have a newborn. I know you're exhausted. But this is your business, your livelihood, your daughter's future. Hours now save years of regret later. She was right. I started searching. While Maya slept, those precious 40-minute windows, I searched emails. Found Lauren 3 years ago. Keisha's relationship with the Navarro Corp team is the only reason we landed this account. I literally couldn't have done this without her. Found Lauren 2 years ago. The clients love Keisha. She has this way of making people feel understood that I've never been able to replicate. Found Lauren last year. Martinez Chen wouldn't exist without Keisha's networking abilities. She's the heart of this company. Found Lauren 6 months ago, right before she started plotting. Take all the time you need with the baby. The business will be fine. You've built relationships that run deep. They'll still be there when you get back. 23 years of emails. Hundreds of instances of Lauren acknowledging my value, my contributions, my importance to the company's success. All of it evidence, all of it ammunition. Next task, financial analysis. Simone hired a forensic accountant to go through our books, look at revenue by client, track which partner brought in which business, calculate percentage of income attributable to each of us. The numbers came back clear. I generated approximately 70% of our revenue over 12 years. My client relationships, my networking, my ability to close deals, all of it quantifiable, provable. Lauren had worked hard, yes, but the money came from my relationships. The accountant's report said it plainly. Removing Ms. Martinez from this partnership would eliminate the majority revenue driver. This is not a business that can function at current capacity without her. Simone also had me document the timeline of Lauren's betrayal. March, consultant meetings. April, legal consultations. May, behind-the-scenes preparation. June, rebranding discussions. July, baby shower, performance. August, filing dissolution papers. September, serving me while I was recovering from childbirth. This timeline is devastating for her, Simone said. It shows premeditation. Shows she was planning this while throwing you a baby shower. A judge is going to hate this. Good. One more thing. The partnership agreement. I need to read it line by line. See if there's actually any clause that supports her claim you abandoned the business. I sent her our original partnership agreement, signed 12 years ago when we were 23 and thought we'd be partners forever. She read it, called me an hour later. Keisha, this is almost funny. What? The clause Lauren is citing, about extended absence, it's on page 14. It talks about absences due to incapacity or abandonment of duties. Right. She's saying maternity leave counts as that. Except on page 9, there's a whole section about medical leave and family leave, specifically states that pregnancy, childbirth, and child-rearing leave up to 6 months does not constitute abandonment and is fully protected. I stopped breathing. Are you telling me? I'm telling you her lawyer didn't read the full agreement, or they did and they're gambling you won't fight. Either way, her legal argument is based on a clause that doesn't apply. She has no case. Then why file at all? Because she thought you'd be too overwhelmed to check, too tired to fight, too focused on the baby to notice she was relying on a non-existent loophole. Something warm flooded through my chest. Not quite joy, too angry for joy, but satisfaction. The cold satisfaction of knowing your enemy made a fatal error. So we have her. We have her. But Keisha, she's still going to fight, even when she knows she's wrong. People like her don't back down just because they're losing. They double down. Let her. We filed our countersuit 3 weeks after receiving Lauren's dissolution notice. Breach of fiduciary duty, fraud, attempted theft, emotional distress, violation of partnership agreement. We asked for full restoration of my partnership rights, compensation for damages, and full legal fees. We attached 90 pages of evidence, emails, financial reports, the consultant's invoice, the timeline, everything. We served Lauren at the office, had a process server walk in during business hours, hand her the papers in front of employees. Simone insisted on that detail. She tried to humiliate you by attacking you while you were postpartum. Simone said, "Fair is fair." Lauren called me an hour later, first time we'd spoken directly since the day I got her notice. "This is insane," she said. "No hello, no pretense of civility. You're suing me? You tried to steal my company. I offered you a fair buyout, $150,000 for half of a $2 million company is not fair. It's theft. The company isn't worth $2 million without you actively working. You left. I had a baby. That's not leaving. That's exercising rights explicitly protected in our partnership agreement, which your lawyer apparently didn't read." Silence. "Lauren, did you really think I wouldn't fight? Did you really think having a baby made me stupid?" "I thought you'd be reasonable. I thought you'd understand that the business needs full-time leadership and that you're not capable of that right now." "Not capable? I built this company while going through IVF. I built it while bleeding through failed pregnancy after failed pregnancy. I built it while managing accounts you couldn't close. And you think I'm not capable?" "You're different now." "You're right. I am different. I'm a mother. That doesn't make me weak. It makes me someone you really shouldn't have fucked with." I hung up. Maya was crying. I picked her up, fed her, felt my body doing impossible things, making food for another human, and thought about all the impossible things I'd done before. Building a business from nothing, surviving years of infertility, giving birth. Compared to that, legal warfare was easy. The next 6 months were a masterclass in corporate combat. Lauren fought, dirty, desperate, increasingly unhinged. She filed motions claiming I was an unfit partner due to mental instability, cited postpartum depression I'd never been diagnosed with. Her lawyer argued that my hormonal state made me incapable of sound business judgment. They actually said that, in a legal filing, in 2024. Simone tore it apart in her response, cited case law about gender discrimination, attached statements from my doctor confirming I was not mentally unstable, added a paragraph about how the suggestion that childbirth renders women incompetent is not only medically false, but legally actionable discrimination. The judge agreed, struck Lauren's motion, sanctioned her lawyer for filing a frivolous claim. First blood to us. Lauren tried another angle, claimed that I'd been stealing clients, that I'd been secretly starting a competing business while on maternity leave. Evidence? I'd updated my LinkedIn profile to say consultant while I was out. Because that's what I'd planned to do while on leave. Offer light consulting to stay relevant, not compete with our company. Simone again destroyed it. Showed that I'd asked Lauren's permission for the consulting work. Had it in writing. Lauren had approved it. Another motion struck. Meanwhile, the business was struggling. Clients were leaving. 3 major accounts dropped within 2 months of the lawsuit becoming public. One of them, a tech startup I'd brought in personally, called me directly. Keisha, what the hell is going on? We hired Martinez Chen because of you. Now you're gone and Lauren is... She's not the same without you. I'm not gone. I'm fighting to keep my company. Can we pause our contract until this resolves? We don't want to be in the middle of a legal war. I understood. Told them to do what was best for their business. They left. $250,000 annual contract. Gone. 2 more followed. Both my clients. Both citing the instability of working with a company in litigation. Lauren tried to use this as evidence I was sabotaging the business. Except Simone found emails showing Lauren had told those clients I was never coming back, had actively pushed them to leave so she could claim I was destroying the company. Another motion struck. Another sanction against her lawyer. The depositions were brutal. Lauren's deposition was 4 hours of her trying to rewrite history, claiming she'd always done most of the work, that my contributions were exaggerated, that clients had always preferred her. Then Simone brought out the emails. Lauren's own words, praising me, admitting I was essential, acknowledging I'd brought in the majority of business. Watching her face as Simone read those emails aloud, her own words condemning her, was the first time in months I felt something like joy. My deposition was different. I was calm, factual, had all my evidence organized. The conference room was cold, AC on too high, or maybe just my body reacting to Lauren sitting 10 feet away. First time I'd been in the same room with her since before Maya was born. She looked smaller than I remembered, or maybe I'd grown. We made eye contact once, just once, during a break when her lawyer was reviewing documents. I looked at her and saw a stranger, someone wearing Lauren's face, but emptied of everything I'd known. The friend who held my hand through fertility treatments, the partner who celebrated our first big client, the woman who promised we'd build something together. Gone. All of it. Replaced by this person who'd tried to destroy me because I chose to be a mother. She looked away first. That told me everything. She knew she was losing, knew the evidence was against her, knew that trying to steal someone's company because they gave birth wasn't just morally wrong, it was legally indefensible. But she couldn't admit it, couldn't apologize, couldn't even hold eye contact. So we went back to our depositions, back to lawyers and testimony, and the cold machinery of justice. Lauren's lawyer tried to make me emotional, asked about Maya, about motherhood, about whether I could really handle both a business and a child. Women do it every day, I said. The only reason I couldn't was because my partner decided to betray me while I was at my most vulnerable. But that's not about capacity. That's about character. Simone smiled. Discovery revealed more than I'd expected. Lauren had been embezzling. Not huge amounts, but steady. About $30,000 over 2 years, hidden in consulting fees to companies that didn't exist. She'd also been planning to bring in a new partner, already had someone lined up. A woman from her business school, younger, no kids, fully committed. The new partner was going to buy my half at the lowball price Lauren had offered. They'd already discussed it, already planned the transition. I wasn't just being pushed out. I was being replaced. Simone added embezzlement to our lawsuit, added fraud. The damages kept climbing. Through all of this, I was still mothering. Maya was growing. 2 months old, 3 months, 4 months, learning to smile, to grab things, to make sounds that weren't just crying. I'd take calls with Simone while wearing Maya in a carrier, read depositions while nursing, reviewed evidence while doing tummy time. Marcus was my rock. Took on more childcare so I could prep for mediation. Never once suggested I should just settle, just take the money, just walk away. "This is your company," he said. "You built it. Fight for it." By month 5, Lauren's legal bills were astronomical. Her lawyer was getting sanctioned left and right. The embezzlement discovery had triggered an IRS audit. Her new potential partner backed out, didn't want to buy into a company under federal investigation. Clients kept leaving. Revenue dropped 40%. Lauren tried one last time to settle. Offered me $500,000 for my half. Still way under value, but better than her original offer. Simone called me with the offer. "What do you want to do?" she asked. I thought about it. $500,000 would cover my legal fees, leave some left over. I could walk away, start fresh, avoid more months of warfare. But then I thought about the baby shower, the speech about sisterhood, the way Lauren had hugged me while already planning my destruction. "No," I said. "We go to mediation. We finish this." "You sure? It's going to be ugly." "I'm sure." The mediation was scheduled for March, 6 months after Lauren had served me that first notice. Maya was 6 months old by then, sitting up, eating solid foods, sleeping through the night most nights. I'd survived half a year of legal warfare while learning to be a mother. If that didn't prove I could do both, nothing would. The mediation happened in a conference room in downtown Miami. 40th floor of a glass tower on Brickell Avenue, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Biscayne Bay. On a clear day, you could see all the way to Key Biscayne. Today the sky was overcast, gray clouds making the bay look almost black. I arrived 15 minutes early, wore my power suit, the one I'd bought for big pitches back when I could button it without thinking about postpartum bodies. It fit again, barely. 6 months of healing, 6 months of fighting, 6 months of proving I could do both. Maya was home with Marcus, 6 months old now, sitting up on her own, laughing at peekaboo, eating pureed sweet potatoes and making faces that suggested betrayal at every new flavor. I'd nursed her that morning, kissed her head, smelled that particular baby smell that's part milk and part innocence. "Mommy's going to finish this today," I'd whispered. The conference room smelled like new carpet and expensive coffee. Long table, leather chairs, digital whiteboard on one wall displaying Martinez v. Chen mediation. Like we were a court case instead of 2 women who'd once shared an apartment. Simone arrived, rolling her briefcase behind her. She'd become more than my lawyer over these 6 months. A mentor, a fierce protector, a Black woman who'd seen this story play out 100 times and refused to let me become another statistic. "You ready?" she asked. I was ready 6 months ago. "Good. Remember, don't let her make you emotional. Stay cold. That freeze you told me about? Keep it." Lauren arrived with her lawyer at exactly 10 a.m. Professional punctuality, the kind we used to joke about, how Lauren was never late to anything while I was chronically 5 minutes behind. She looked different, thinner, older. Good suit, but not as expensive as mine. Her legal bills had been brutal. Hair cut shorter. Makeup perfect, but couldn't hide the circles under her eyes. Our eyes met across the conference room. I felt nothing. That was new. Once upon a time, seeing Lauren would have meant warmth, recognition, the easy comfort of someone who knew your history. Now? Nothing. Like looking at a stranger wearing a familiar face. We didn't speak, didn't acknowledge each other, just took seats on opposite sides of the table. The mediator arrived last. Judge Howard Richmond, retired, 70 years old, reputation for cutting through bullshit like a surgeon with a scalpel. He sat at the head of the table, opened a folder thick with documents. "Let's be clear," he said without preamble. "Mediation is not a trial. It's a conversation. A chance to resolve this without destroying both of you financially and emotionally. I've read both briefs. I've seen the evidence. And I'm going to tell you right now, Ms. Chen, your case is weak. Very weak." Lauren's lawyer started to object. Judge Richmond held up a hand. "Let me finish. I've been doing this for 40 years. I know a bad case when I see one. The partnership agreement clearly protects Ms. Martinez's right to maternity leave. The evidence shows you planned this termination before she even gave birth. The financial records show she generated the majority of your revenue. And the embezzlement discovery? Well, that's a whole separate problem." The word embezzlement hung in the air like smoke. Lauren's face went pale. "I didn't embezzle. Those were legitimate consulting fees. To companies that don't exist?" Judge Richmond's voice was flat. "Ms. Chen, I'm trying to help you here. You're facing potential fraud charges on top of the civil suit. The best outcome for you is settling this quickly and hoping Ms. Martinez doesn't pursue criminal charges." I hadn't even thought about criminal charges, but watching Lauren go pale, seeing her lawyer whisper urgently in her ear, I understood the power in that threat. Simone leaned over to me, whispered, "We could push criminal. The embezzlement is prosecutable, but it would take years and cost more money. Better leverage for settlement." I nodded slightly. Judge Richmond continued, looking directly at Lauren now. "Here's what I propose. Ms. Chen, you drop all claims against Ms. Martinez. You restore her full partnership rights. You pay her legal fees, plus $200,000 in damages. Ms. Martinez, you agree not to pursue criminal charges for the embezzlement." "Absolutely not," Lauren said immediately. "I'm not paying her anything. She abandoned the business. She had a baby." Judge Richmond's patience snapped like a dry branch. The sudden volume made everyone sit straighter. "She had a baby and exercised her legally protected right to maternity leave. If you'd read your own partnership agreement, instead of trying to exploit her vulnerability, we wouldn't be here." "She's trying to destroy me." Lauren's voice cracked. "No, Ms. Chen. You destroyed yourself. You let greed and resentment override basic decency and basic legal competence. You waited until this woman gave birth," he gestured at me, "until she was at her most vulnerable, recovering from creating a human life, and you tried to steal her company. That's not business strategy. That's predatory. And judges don't like predatory behavior." Lauren's lawyer put a hand on her arm, whispered something. She shook her head, tears starting. I watched this without feeling, the freeze holding. Once I would have felt sorry for her, would have wanted to comfort her, fix it, make peace. Not anymore. "She was my best friend," Lauren said, and her voice broke completely. 23 years. We built this together, and she chose having a baby over the business, over our partnership. She changed everything. I didn't change anything. I said quietly. First words I'd spoken directly to her in 6 months. I added something. There's a difference. You left. I took 3 months of legally protected leave to recover from childbirth and care for my newborn. That's not leaving. That's being human. The business needed you, and I was available, remotely, like we discussed, like you agreed to. I kept my voice level, cold. But you didn't want me available. You wanted me gone, because my pregnancy threatened your entire worldview that you can't be a mother and a business owner. That's not, it is. You saw me having a baby and thought I was weak, thought I was abandoning you, abandoning the business, choosing family over ambition. But Lauren? I leaned forward slightly. I wasn't choosing. I was adding. Women do it every day. We have babies and careers, families and ambitions. We don't become incompetent just because we give birth. But you were different. You were distracted, unavailable. I was recovering from major medical trauma while keeping a human alive. And you used that as an opportunity to steal my company. That's who you are, Lauren. Not the friend who threw me a baby shower. The person who threw that shower as insurance against future accusations. Your words in your email. Her face crumpled. Let's take a break, Judge Richmond said. Ms. Chen, talk to your lawyer. Consider your options carefully. You can settle this now on relatively favorable terms, or we go to trial and you lose everything, including your reputation, because this, he tapped the evidence folder, this looks really, really bad. They went to one side of the conference room. Simone, Marcus, and I went to the other. He's on your side, Simone said. Rare for a mediator to be this obvious, but he sees what she did. If you want to push for more, we can. What do you think I should do? Honestly, take the settlement. You get your company back, you get your fees covered, you get compensated for her bullshit, and you end this. Because trials are unpredictable, and even though we're winning, nothing is guaranteed. But she tried to destroy me. She waited until I gave birth. I know. And she'll live with that. Her reputation is ruined. Clients are gone. The business is struggling. Even if she keeps her half, she's going to be rebuilding for years. You've already won, Keisha. This is just deciding how much she pays for losing. I looked at Marcus. He squeezed my hand. Your call, he said. Whatever you choose, I support you. I thought about Maya, about what I wanted her to learn from this. Not revenge, justice. There's a difference. Revenge is making someone hurt because they hurt you. Justice is making sure they face appropriate consequences for their actions. I'd already won. The evidence proved Lauren tried to steal my company, proved she'd planned it, proved she'd violated every principle of partnership and friendship. The mediator saw it. Any judge would see it. The settlement was Lauren admitting defeat. That was enough. I'll take it, I said, but I want one addition. I want a public statement, not an apology. I don't want her fake apology, but a statement acknowledging that she violated the partnership agreement, that I did not abandon the business, and that my partnership rights are fully restored. Simone nodded. We can get that. They went back to the other side of the room. Simone, Marcus, and I could hear Lauren's voice rising, not loud enough to make out words, but the tone, desperate, angry, scared. Her lawyer's voice, lower, steady, explaining reality. Then silence. I watched Lauren through the glass partition separating the two sides of the conference room, watched her face as she understood, really understood. She'd lost. All of it. The company she'd tried to steal, the narrative she'd tried to build, the future she'd planned with her new partner and my clients and my erased name. Her face crumpled. Not crying, something worse. The collapse of someone who'd built their entire strategy on a foundation of sand and just watched the tide come in. She looked at her lawyer, looked at the mediator, looked everywhere except at me. Then she stood up, walked toward me. Her lawyer tried to stop her, but she shook him off, stood in front of me across the table. "Keisha," she said, "I didn't mean. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was just trying to protect the business. You have to understand." I looked at her, said nothing. The freeze held, complete, unbreakable. "I know how it looks," she continued, words tumbling out faster. "But I thought you'd left. I thought you were choosing Maya over the company. I was just trying to save what we'd built." "We," I said quietly. "You keep saying we, but you erased my name from the website. You told clients I'd retired. You filed papers to remove me as partner while I was 2 weeks postpartum. That's not we. That's you trying to erase me so you could have everything." She opened her mouth, closed it. No words left that could make this better. "Sign the papers, Lauren," I said. "It's over." 20 minutes later, Lauren agreed. She had no choice. Full restoration of my partnership rights, $200,000 in damages, full legal fees covered, $180,000. Public statement acknowledging she'd been wrong. And one more thing Simone negotiated last minute: the right for me to sell my half of the company at fair market value to any buyer I chose within the next year, with Lauren having no veto power. That last clause was genius, because it meant I could leave on my terms, not hers, could sell for actual value, not her lowball theft price. We signed the agreement that afternoon. Lauren wouldn't look at me, signed the papers, stood up, left without a word. Her lawyer stayed behind, apologetic. For what it's worth, I advised her against this from the beginning. She wouldn't listen. "Then you should have refused to file," Simone said coldly. "Lawyers have ethical obligations too." After they left, I sat in that conference room with Simone and Marcus, overlooking the bay, sun starting to set. "You won," Simone said. I won. But it didn't feel like victory. Not yet. It felt like the end of something painful, the closing of a wound that would leave a scar. Victory would come later, when I figured out what to do next. 3 months after the mediation, I sold my half of Martinez Chen Communications. Not to Lauren, to a boutique firm called Velocity PR. They'd been circling for years, wanting to acquire us, seeing the value in our client list and reputation. The meeting happened at a Starbucks in Coral Gables. Maya in her stroller, 6 months old, gumming a teething toy and watching the world with curious eyes. The Velocity partner, Catherine something, 40-something white woman in expensive casual wear, sat across from me with a latte and a proposal. "We've wanted Martinez Chen for years," she said. "Your client relationships are legendary. When we heard you might be selling your half, we moved fast." "How fast?" "How does $1.2 million sound?" I took a sip of my coffee, tried not to react. $1.2 million for 50% of the company? "That's our opening offer. We're flexible if you think it's low." Lauren had tried to buy me out for $150,000. Velocity was offering 8 times that. 8 times. I kept my face neutral. I'd need to think about it. Consult with my lawyer. Of course, but Keisha, Catherine leaned forward. Between you and me, we want you more than we want the company. If you were interested in joining Velocity after the sale, as a senior partner, we'd love to discuss terms. I hadn't expected that. Thought selling meant leaving the industry, starting over. I have a 6-month-old, I said. We know. We also know you built Martinez Chen while juggling everything life threw at you. We value that. We value you. Whatever arrangement you need, remote work, flexible hours, bring your baby to the office if you want. We'll make it work. I looked down at Maya. She'd fallen asleep in her stroller, cheek pressed against the side, tiny fist near her mouth. Let me think about it, I said. I called Simone that afternoon. Take it, she said immediately. That's excellent value, more than excellent. And the job offer? Keisha, they're telling you that you're valuable, that motherhood doesn't diminish your worth. Take it. I thought about Lauren, about her belief that you couldn't be a mother and a business owner, that pregnancy meant weakness. Here was a company offering me $1.2 million and a senior partnership specifically because they valued both who I was as a businesswoman and as a mother. I took the deal. The sale closed in April. I signed papers in Simone's office, Maya in a carrier on my chest, 7 months old now and fascinated by the pen I kept clicking. The money hit my bank account 2 days later. $1.2 million. More money than I'd ever imagined having at once. First thing I did? Paid off our mortgage. The house in Coral Gables that Marcus and I had been paying down for 8 years. Paid in full. Second thing, set up a college fund for Maya. $200,000, invested conservatively, would grow to over $500,000 by the time she turned 18. Third thing, called Velocity and declined the partnership offer. I appreciate it, I told Catherine, but I'm starting something new, something mine. Can I ask what? KM Consulting. Just me. Setting my own hours, choosing my clients, building something that can't be stolen because it's not built on partnership. It's built on me. She laughed. I had a feeling you'd say that. Well, when you're ready for clients, call us. We'll hire you as a consultant. KM Consulting launched in May. Home office overlooking the backyard. Desk from IKEA. Laptop, phone, website I built myself in WordPress. No partners, no employees. No one to betray me or be betrayed by. Just me. The clients came, faster than I expected. Turned out all those relationships Lauren thought would stay with the company, they followed me. Within 2 months, I had 6 consulting contracts. Within 6 months, I was turning down work. The best part? I worked 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday and Thursday were Maya days. Library story time, music classes, walks in the stroller through Coconut Grove. I was making more money working 3 days than I'd made working 60-hour weeks at Martinez Chen. And I was there when Maya said her first word. Mama. Of course, Mama. There when she took her first steps. 9 months, early like her mother. There for every moment I'd been told I'd have to sacrifice for my career. Turned out you didn't have to sacrifice. You just had to refuse to work with people who demanded it. I remember the first Tuesday Maya Day after KM Consulting launched. We went to the library for story time. Maya was 8 months old, crawling but not walking yet. Wore a yellow dress with ducks on it, One of those outfits that makes other mothers smile. The librarian read The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Maya sat in my lap, grabbing at the pages, making her baby sounds. Around us, other mothers and nannies and grandparents with their kids. All of us in that particular space of early childhood, the exhaustion and boredom and overwhelming love all mixed together. After, we got coffee. Not at a business meeting, not between client calls, just coffee on a Tuesday morning because I could. I sat outside a cafe in Coconut Grove, Maya in her stroller watching pigeons, and thought, this is what I was fighting for. Not just the money, or the principal, or even the company. These hours, these unremarkable, precious hours where I got to be just mom. Not Keisha Martinez businesswoman, not Keisha Martinez warrior, just Maya's mom, drinking overpriced coffee and watching her daughter discover pigeons. Lauren had thought motherhood would make me weak. It made me free. Free to choose what mattered. Free to build a life that fit me, not one I had to contort myself to fit. Free to be both mother and businesswoman without apology. I saw Lauren one last time, year after the sale, networking event at a hotel in Brickell. I'd almost skipped it. Maya had a cold, Marcus was traveling for work, I was tired. But I went, wore my good dress, networked, collected cards, made small talk about campaigns and strategies and the perpetual Miami weather. Saw her across the room. She looked smaller somehow, or maybe I'd grown. She was talking to someone I didn't recognize, laughing at something, performing normalcy. Our eyes met. She started walking toward me. I could see her gathering courage, preparing words. I turned and walked toward the exit, heard her call my name. Keisha, wait! Kept walking. Some bridges you burn, some you let crumble from disuse. Either way, you don't go back. Outside, Miami humidity hit like a wall. I stood under the hotel awning, called an Uber, breathed. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. How's it going? Good, coming home. Maya misses you. Tell her I miss her too. Be there in 20. The Uber arrived. I got in, gave my address, leaned back. Thought about 23 years of friendship ending in a conference room with lawyers and mediators. Thought about Lauren's face when the judge told her she'd destroyed herself. Thought about the freeze, that cold clarity that had protected me through the worst of it. It had started to thaw now, slowly, around the edges. Not because I'd forgiven her, because I didn't need the armor anymore. The war was over. I'd won. Not the way I'd imagined when we started Martinez Chen at 23, not the partnership lasting forever, building something together, retiring together after decades. But I'd won something better. Proof that motherhood wasn't weakness. Freedom to build on my terms. A daughter who would grow up watching her mother fight for what she'd built and win. Maya is 3 years old now. Funny, bright, asks why about everything. Knows mommy works from home. Knows I help companies tell their stories. She doesn't know yet that her birth triggered a war. That her arrival made someone I trusted try to destroy me. But she'll know someday. When she's older. When she asks about the framed partnership agreement on my office wall, the one I kept, highlighted on page 9, the clause about maternity leave protection. And I'll tell her the truth. I'll tell her about building something with someone you trust, about how some people see your vulnerability as opportunity, about how pregnancy doesn't make you weak. It reveals who the weak people around you really are. I'll tell her that I fought for my company not because of money, but principle. Because mothers deserve to keep what they build. Because having a baby doesn't erase 12 years of work. And I'll tell her about the freeze, about that moment when betrayal is so complete that something inside stops being soft and becomes hard, when pain becomes clarity, when the only choice is to survive. Something in me didn't break when I opened that FedEx envelope. It froze, like water becoming ice, like vulnerability becoming steel, like a woman learning that the only person she could truly trust in business was herself. And that freeze didn't thaw. It stayed, became part of who I am now. Harder than I was at 22 when Lauren and I started this journey. Less trusting, more careful, but also more successful, more independent, more myself. Some partnerships end in mutual respect. Founders who realize they want different things and separate amicably. Some partnerships end in betrayal, in theft disguised as business strategy. Mine ended in a lesson. Build things that can't be taken. Invest in relationships that transcend contracts. And when someone shows you they'd rather destroy you than see you thrive, believe them. Then win anyway. I'm sitting in my home office as I write this. Maya is at preschool. House is quiet. Coffee is hot. Calendar has 3 client calls today, then picking up Maya, then dinner with Marcus, then bedtime stories about princesses who save themselves. My laptop shows KM Consulting's quarterly revenue. Best quarter yet. My phone has no messages from Lauren. Hasn't in 3 years. My daughter has a mother who taught her that you can have a baby and a business, that you can be soft with your child and hard as diamonds with people who try to exploit you. That freezing doesn't mean breaking. Sometimes it means surviving. And on the wall of my office, I keep one thing from Martinez Chen. Not a photo, not an award. Just the original partnership agreement, framed. Page 9 is highlighted. The clause about maternity leave being protected. The clause Lauren's lawyer never bothered to read. The clause that saved me. I keep it as a reminder, not of what I lost, but of what I survived, of what I won, of what I built afterward, on my own, with my daughter watching. Some women learn about betrayal from stories. I learned from experience. And I learned this. The freeze protects you, keeps you intact when everything else is trying to break you down, lets you think clearly when everyone expects you to fall apart. So when they come for you, and someone always comes for women who have both ambition and babies, you remember. You've done harder things than this. You've grown humans. You've pushed them into the world. You've survived on no sleep and still made decisions and still showed up. Legal warfare? Business betrayal? False friends with real knives? That's nothing compared to childbirth. And if you can survive that, you can survive anything. That's my story, dear listeners. Maya just turned 3. KM Consulting is thriving. And I haven't spoken to Lauren Chen in 3 years. Some friendships are for a season. Some are for a reason. And some are meant to teach you who not to trust. Thank you for listening. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, have you ever had to fight for something you built? How did you find the strength? Remember this. Motherhood doesn't make you weak. It makes you someone who's already done the impossible. Everything else is just paperwork. Until next time, protect your peace, build what's yours, And don't let anyone make you choose between your dreams and your family. You can have both. I'm living proof.